Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Cult Cinema 83, and this is episode 24 of the Cult Cinema podcast. We're still going, and as you can see, I'm joined once again by fellow YouTuber and fellow film fan, Steven from TVNASH. Steven, how have you been, and how are you doing?
I'm doing. Excuse me. I'm doing fine, buddy. I'm doing fine.
Good. It's good to have you back once again.
Yeah.
And you told me that you were very excited to do this particular episode. So I'm sure we're going to have a very fun discussion. Let's just announce it. Of course, today we are going to talk about yet another interesting director that we are both familiar with, and it's Luciano Ercoli. Ercoli, how do you say it? I'm probably butchering it, but I think it's Ercoli, something like that.
It's probably Ercoli. I might imagine.
Ercoli, yeah, probably Luciano Ercoli. And we are discussing two films today. We are talking about Death Walks at Midnight and Forbidden Photos of a Lady Above Suspicion. But before we get into all of that, Steven, why don't you share some information with me and the other people who are watching or listening? How did you come to discover Luciano Ercoli, and what is your relationship with his film catalog, so to speak?
Well, it's interesting. I actually knew about him through, ironically enough, Nieves and Navarro, who stars in both of these movies. I knew of him because he was her husband.
Right. Yes.
And I know he started out as an assistant and then a producer. He was the co-producer of the two Ringo films with Giuliano Gemma. Gemma. So I sort of knew him for that initially. I had heard of both Death Walks on High Heels and Death Walks at Midnight back in like my late high school, early college days, but I didn't really know what Giallo was at the time. So I was sort of like, at first. But then, as years, passed, and my palate got stronger for foreign cinema. I started going back to all this stuff, and I really started enjoying it. And so far, I think I've only seen 3 of his movies as a director. This far, like those 2, and also the Forbidden Photos of a Lady Above Suspicion. But I was aware of his, career through Nieves Navarro, and also the IMDb. It's actually funny though, he quit the film business in the late 70s when apparently an eccentric distant uncle died and left him all this money. Even though I'm sure he did very well in the film business, and saved, as soon as he inherited this fortune, he actually leaves the movie business entirely.
Right. Yeah, he was probably like, this is my retirement money. I can walk away now. It's interesting. He hasn't even made that many films, honestly. If you look at Wikipedia or whatever, so it's not like a very long list, and it's funny you say that. Like, if you I'm the same as you. I haven't seen that many yet of his films, but I have seen one that actually Radiance Films has released. It's his Poliziotteschi Killer Cop.
Oh, okay.
If you ever have the money, or you can buy it, get that one. It's actually a very, very interesting film. It is kind of depressing though.
Oh, okay.
but
Oh boy.
yeah. But it's actually pretty good actually. So, but yeah, I haven't seen that many. To be honest with you, I haven't started discovering Luciano Ercoli only very recently, actually, when
Okay.
Arrow Video started releasing these films. I was already very familiar with Giallos and stuff like Argento, of course, Fulci, and all of that, Martino. So I knew those people, all of them, but I only started discovering the smaller ones in more recent years, and Ercoli is one of them. But I have to say, he makes some very interesting films.
Yeah, he did.
Even some films that don't necessarily fit into the box of what the giallo is supposed to be all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we're going to get into all of that.
Oh.
I think he's a very interesting director. So which movie would you like to start with?
Let's go in a in chronological order.
Okay, fair enough. So that's Forbidden Photos of a Lady Above Suspicion, of course.
Right.
All right, Forbidden Photos of a Lady Above Suspicion. That such a long title, by the way. Like,
oh yeah,
very hard to pronounce. But anyway, that's the one. It's from 1970. That's when it was released, of course. A quick synopsis once again. The wife of a struggling businessman is blackmailed by a mysterious man into having a sadistic affair with him, or he will leak evidence implicating her husband of a supposed murder. That's basically what it is, the premise. So yeah, Forbidden Photos of a Lady Above Suspicion. I have to tell you, this movie has really grown on me because originally I didn't like it as much when I watched it for the first time. Because it was, well, I'll get into that later on.
Okay.
But yeah, but I've actually grown quite fond of it over like rewatching it a couple more times.
Okay.
So this is one that had to grow on me, but I've really quite fallen in love with it. So what are some of your general thoughts before we go into positives and negatives for Forbidden Photos?
Okay. Well, this was my second viewing of it. I've got like so much in my collection. I'm in my collection. It does take a while to do rewatches, but both times I really enjoyed this one. It's definitely Agatha Christie inspired, which is like my like favorites. It like always bugged me that fans link the Giallo to the horror genre, because they're not horror films. You gotta know, like some of them have like undertones of horror.
Yeah.
Like in like dream sequences, but to me, they're just really tense, darker, like murder mystery stories.
Right.
Stories. So, but I mean, I really enjoyed this one. I was, very, I'm invested in the many twists. Especially the very last two twists at the end of it. And I was just like, very engaged. You utterly loathe this blackmailer, who's clearly in it for just the sadistic pleasure he gets out of it. I was okay with Dagmar Lassander and her part. At times I found it hard to be convinced that she's this, like, easily gullible woman. Like, she looks like somebody, who's gone through the, a hilt of all these things, and I'm like, I don't know if she's all that gullible though.
Yeah. Well, I will get to Dagmar Lassander because I have a lot to say about her actually. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's it's definitely very interesting, a very interesting film. It's funny what you say, like Giallo is like, I never understood that myself. It's like Giallo's being horror. I was like, I mean, there are definitely ones where the kills and stuff lean towards horror.
Yeah.
But overall, I think they are much more detective, like thriller kind of films. You know, very much in the vein sometimes of Alfred Hitchcock as well. You know, and a lot of suspense and stuff like that. There are subtle like notes of horror, and again, sometimes they lean into the more gory things, and that's of course a little bit horror. Yes, you know, but I mean, they're not like the zombie films or the cannibal films. I mean, that's pure horror right there. So I tend to agree with you. They're you know, Agatha Christie, Alfred Hitchcock like suspense thrillers, kind of that sort of thing. Yeah, but no, I think this is actually I think this is a really good film, and so let's just dive into positives. Do you mind if I start with my first one?
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
All right. So my first positive for this movie is I love this the story and the narrative in this one. Like having a plot about a married woman being sexually blackmailed and, you know, sadistically intimidated by this strange, well, good looking but very, you strange know, and charming but like really strange maniac sort of thing. I think that really works great for this film. And in a strange way, this picture feels a lot like a darker version of 50 Shades of Grey for me. Well, when I was rewatching it, it was like there are tones, there are several themes that you find in 50 Shades of Grey as well, which I find very interesting. And I think it's a really cool way to approach the sort of erotic thriller sort of vibe with this one.
Okay.
How do you look at that?
Well, I've never read or seen 50 Shades of Grey. For me, I actually saw it as this, you know, interesting blend of Gaslight and Dial M for Murder.
Yeah.
You know, because when like you reach the climax, you know, and everything starts making sense at the end of it, you know, I started looking at that and I said, wow, like this is like both Gaslight and Dial M for Murder, you know, rolled into one.
Yeah.
I mean, like one, like, yeah, but, you know, I enjoyed the plot and narrative as well. I thought it was very neatly done. And it's actually surprising because I was watching this 44-minute documentary with Ercoli, Navarro, and Ernesto Gastaldi, whose story inspired the script. In his treatment, it was actually more about how the victim and the blackmailer kind of start to get psychologically in sync.
Oh, really? Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you know, and how like that like was changed, and I actually preferred that change in a way because, like, you know, how could she really start to sympathize and understand this dude who just did this out of pure mean spiritedness, like, you know, like just for these, like, you know, sick kicks, like you know, I don't think I'd have felt any sympathy for her had she started, you know, actually falling for this creep. So,
oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting. Well, that's going to be an interesting discussion because I have sort of a different take on that, but we'll get to that when we get to Dagmar Lassander. But that's a very interesting sort of thing to throw in there about what you said in the original script. I don't know if I don't know how I feel about that. That's kind of, Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess it could have worked in a sort of way. If I think that would have made the movie even more twisted, though,
yeah,
in a certain way. And there is a certain way that this movie ends,
yeah.
which I find very wholesome. But we'll talk about it when we get to that. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, 50 Shades of Grey. I did read it. Please don't touch it. It's like
Okay.
it's very the way that book is so diminishing towards women. It's like
Woo!
it's I couldn't believe it, and it has been written by a woman, so it's like,
Yeah.
how does that work? I mean,
Yeah. True.
you mustn't have a lot of self esteem if you're reading that. But who am I? I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
the person. I don't know who am I to judge. But it's the book itself is like how it approaches women is just like
Yeah.
it's very rough. Anyway, but but so don't read it. But anyway,
Okay.
let me throw it over to you. What are some of your positives about Forbidden Photos?
Well, for me, the first and best for me is Nieves Navarro and
Oh,
her character. I mean, her friendship, and there's even hints of maybe they were more than friends for a while. Like what the main character, and how she's like so supportive. How she doesn't question, like that this like isn't real to her in any way, way. And then they bring in a twist with her, and I'm starting to think, like, is she not as dear of a
yeah,
of my friend, as we thought? And then the climax comes in, and it made me love her character even more
yeah,
because she really played it out great. Like, she outsmarted everybody,
yeah,
but and it made me love her even more. Like, and here's this like lady who, like, you just think is just like a free spirited woman, but she's very deceptively, in a good way, intelligent, Jen, and she uses that as well as her body. You
yeah.
see,
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. It's and you're addressing it now. So let's just talk about the cast in general. I mean, my favorite character of this movie is, like you said, it's Nieves Navarro, also known as Susan Scott, of course, as
yeah,
Dominique. It's what an amazing character. Absolutely
yeah,
fantastic. She is phenomenal. What a phenomenal character she is. And um, I've said it before, and I will say it again. Apart from what the character is, I mean, in the Euro Italian cinema, I think there are two actresses that are some of the most gorgeous women in the world. One of them is, of course, Edwige Fenech.
ah,
I think we can all agree on. But I think the second one has to be Nieves Navarro.
oh
Um,
yeah,
she is like absolutely stunning. She
oh
is
yeah,
what an unbelievably beautiful woman. Absolutely. But
oh yeah,
apart from that, I love her persona in this movie. I mean, Dominique is like the best friend that everybody wants and needs. It's like,
yes,
she is funny and kind and graceful and
yeah,
has this enormous heart. And even though she's a bit of like a hedonistic sort of kind of character,
yeah,
um, you know, she
yeah.
always has Minu's back.
Right,
Always.
like, yeah, like, yeah, like she's what John Milius said in a documentary about Sergio Leone. But I don't and I won't use the English word here, so I'll just say the Utana with a heart of gold.
Yeah. But she's not. I mean, but she's not a whore as well. She's just having fun. She's
Truly, yeah. Like I just meant it in like that vein.
Yeah.
Like she like fools around, but she's not like wicked or anything.
No. She is like she really has a golden heart. She really does, and it's and by the way, that dress that she's wearing, with the like on the side open on the side. Woo!
Yeah.
Like, you can wear it anytime you want. Navarro. That's some classy stuff. But no, I mean, she always has Minu's back, and I love the scene in which she gives Minu the money to pay off the creep,
right?
And she asks, Minu is very suspicious, and she's like, I can't take this, or what, what do you want in return? And I love what she says. I said, like, did I ask for anything?
Right.
And it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. And
it's great.
It says, look, just take the money and fix your stuff. Come on. There you go. And it's wonderful. She's wonderful. And of course, like you said, the ending, which we'll talk about the twist later on, but the ending where she is like, she is so, like, again, she's like the bestest of the best friends that you can you can want. She's amazing. Dominique is amazing. Yeah. She really is. But I want to talk about Dagmar Lassander for a bit. Because like you addressed it already. Because I look a little bit differently at her character. And I'm curious to see what you think of my take. I think, to me anyway, this is one of my favorite performances from Dagmar Lassander. I think the way that she acts in this role is fantastic. I think Minu is someone who has become, I think she has just become very dependent on her husband, being there to protect her. I think it's like a built-in thing. Like, it's like, oh, I'm married to someone, so he's automatically going to protect me from whatever, I think that's kind of her mindset with this. I think that's why she's so frustrated that he leaves all the time, and to me, that vulnerability allows the blackmailer to approach and diminish her. Because I think he sees through that. I think he feels that weakness. And in spite of her complete and total love for Peter, it doesn't give her any like realistic means of defending herself. Because again, in my opinion, she has become just so accustomed to be in the safety net of Peter. And we can see that. We can see when Peter's not there, we can see the fractures. I mean, like, she's taking pills and she is drinking more and more alcohol and stuff. And I'm not saying that as a weakness, but because to me, strong female characters are always ones who have flaws. But I think, but the other thing is, I think she feels so guilty about allowing herself to be abused by this guy in order to protect her husband. Right up until the point where she actually contemplates the S word. She's standing on top of the. But,
Oof.
She actually is, willing or allowing this guy to completely like diminish her and use her in any way she wants, just to protect her husband from some rumors that might not even be true. Well, they are true, but we don't know at that point. So it's like, but that's always how I've seen Minu as a character. How do you look at that? What's your take on that? How do you look at that?
Yeah, I can totally like see that. I'm like with you on like strong, female characters who also have flaws. And I actually knew Dagmar Lassander mainly for playing women who were strong, but were like jaded a lot in life. Oh, over like love, and that's I guess what I'm sort of used to seeing out of her.
Mm-hmm.
So like yeah, but I can I totally see where you're going with it. And it does make a lot of sense with her, and it's funny though because they could show her like still being loyal to her husband, and not have that aspect as well. Because I mean, like, because like there has been numerous, stories of women doing very like crazy things, to protect the like man they love. Like I mean, I don't know how many what I would actually go the like full tilt of letting some psychopath like have his way sexually, likely I know whether her, but yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, no, no, absolutely. Look, there's no denying it. I fully acknowledge and agree that she is, in some ways, she is very naive. I
yeah,
will give you that for sure,
yeah,
because there are times where it's like,
yeah,
if you really think about it, you can be smarter than this. Um, but I still understand how she feels and why she does what she
right,
does. But
right,
there is definitely a sort of naivete there, for sure. So, and of course, there is Peter, of course, her husband, which I mean, I guess we
yeah.
can talk about Peter and ultimately the twist. So, what is your point of view on Peter and, of course, Pier Paolo Capponi, who plays the character?
Uh, what? Well, initially, I thought he was the dullest husband at first. Like when I first
Yeah,
saw it, like I'm like he is totally dull in this. Like
yeah,
I'm like initially, and like you're thinking, well, I mean, love's blind, and if she honestly fell for this guy, okay, it's none of my business.
no,
But and then like things like start to press on, and more like you're starting to think, buddy, like can't you at least like you have a little a little faith in that your wife is telling you the truth, like I mean, like that's where the cracks sort of started happening with me,
yeah,
me, because I mean, you honestly can't help but being hesitant, especially like when the deck's stacked against her, like wife, But I mean, if she's like not changing her story at all in any way, like everything she's saying is exactly the same every questioning, I'd be like, hey, like maybe my wife is telling me the truth in some form.
right. Yeah, 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 absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, like form, but like yeah, like and other than that, I actually found him a quite blasé character for the most part until the like climax. I mean, I'm like okay, like he's this necessary, sorry, like catalyst for what like it happens, but he's just this generic everyday guy, who's got really nothing, I mean, like special, except like he was fraudulently accused of being a murderer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, absolutely. No,
Yeah.
no. It's Peter is it's like you said. If your wife is, and that's why I think it's so interesting that you use the movie Gaslight. If your wife tells you like 10 times, like there is some kind of weirdo, doing sadistic, rape like sex games with me, you
Yeah.
listen to her.
Yeah.
And maybe you think like, maybe I should call the cops for this, like
Yeah.
maybe I should have someone come and talk to her.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's totally like, whereas like, but the other thing is like, he is so, I think, when I first watched this movie, I was actually kind of thinking like, like you said, oh, okay, well, you could have chosen a better husband, but, like you said, who am I to interfere? If that's the person you love, hey, good, God bless. But, but he's very dull, like you said, he's very dull. And, I when I was watching it for the first time, I was like thinking like the only real flaw that this guy has is that he is like incredibly obsessed with his work.
Yeah.
It was like, how many times do you leave your wife to go overseas or whatever to do business? It's like don't you ever want to come home and just hug your wife or whatever?
Yeah,
It's like what is that? It's really like,
yeah,
so,
geez.
yeah, that's the kind of, when you are home, you give your wife some loving, what I'm saying? But
Yeah, definitely.
it's like, but so that's another thing. It's like,
Yeah.
but I remember watching it for the first time, and then the twist came, and I was like, holy crap! How could I be this? How could I have been this wrong?
Woo, yeah.
Because I actually I had no idea when I watched it for the first time.
Same here.
I think that's a great thing about this movie is Peter is a fantastic red herring, whereas you had the first time I was watching it, I had no idea, and then the twist comes, and I was like, holy crap! Like, dude, you're a complete gold digger asshole. That's like basically basically the gist of it, right?
Yeah,
that's it. And it's his whole plot in this is so disgusting, really. And it's really like, but again, a great twist. And I think especially in the climax and the twist, Pier, Paolo Capponi, he plays that very well, I would say.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, the performance is great. But then, of course, there is also, and I'm probably going to butcher this, Simone and Andreu, who plays the creep or the blackmailer, of course.
Yeah.
We never get what his real name is, but just the creep, the blackmailer. So how do we look at that at his performance? I mean, his character is nasty and stuff, but how do we look at his performance?
He's really great at it. I mean, like, you hate this guy the minute you see him, like, and that's like a testament to his abilities as an actor. In fact, I actually like recalling that same documentary I mentioned, both Ercoli and Navarro said like how much of a shame it was that he wasn't a more internationally known actor, because he was really good and he's really excellent in this. And what really makes him interesting is that, even in the climax, we still really don't know who he is exactly. Like we get that, he was very likely like a gigolo, and also something of a, pervert. So, but I mean, like, we never know his name, it's, I'm like, anything really. So, like, it kind of makes him this interesting enigma, I mean, like, why exactly did he agree to do this? like, I mean, like, was he just nuts from the get go, or was he being offered like a sum of money that even the most like avarice really couldn't turn down? Like, down, like, I mean, like his like the fact that his only motivation seems should just be getting a sadistic pleasure out of all this is really just like all we know.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You it kind of makes you wonder, like, has he done this to other women?
Yeah.
Um, but if he did, I mean, he would have been caught by the cops earlier, maybe. So
Right.
there is a lot surrounding him that is shrouded in mystery, I guess.
Yeah.
If my guess would probably be the second one, that I think Peter probably offered him, like, a lot of bling bling, and it's
Yeah.
like, and you can, with this money you can probably buy as many lawyers as you want to get your way out of this, or whatever, something like
Yeah.
that. It's probably something like that, but I guess we'll never know. But also his, I love his sort of like small walking stick that has the blade coming out of it.
Right.
Really, I think that's really great. Especially in the first scene on the beach, where he first approaches her, and then, like, with the knife, he just cuts open the rips in her dress and stuff.
Yeah.
It tells you immediately. It tells you who this guy is.
Yeah.
But I think Simon and Andreu is great, and such a nasty character, but very clever and sleazy. And I think that's what Andreu was good at, because most of his roles are actually bad guy characters, right? So
right, yeah.
But I think it's very interesting, because it seems he enjoys sadism without actually inflicting pain in a certain way.
Right.
It's a lot more psychological and power of suggestion and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So in a way, that's a very different kind of sadism. So that it's
right.
I think that was a very interesting sort of contrast to get in there. So yeah, absolutely. So my next positive, I want to move on to my next positive as well. I'm sure you have this one as well.
Okay.
The cinematography is rad.
Oh yeah.
This movie looks so beautiful. From the opening scene, in which we see Minou start her everyday life, getting dressed and doing her makeup and stuff, and just the lighting Ercoli uses for Lassander to sort of put her in that spotlight is really great. Doing her makeup while fantasizing, like, how she's gonna seduce her husband when he gets home. And that's what I'm talking about. It's like, Peter, like, you have look at the great wife you have over there. Like,
geez, fella, come on.
No, I'm going to Paris. It's like, stuff like that. It's oh man, it's so annoying. It's like so annoying. Anyway, but no, I love that, and that's one of my favorite shots, actually, because I was talking about the happy ending.
Nice.
I love the wide angle, the pan shot at the end of the movie, where Minou and Dominique basically ride off into the sunset together.
Right.
And like I said, we don't often get giallos that have actually a very happy ending, but this one does, and I really appreciate that. And just the way that Ercoli shows that is, I think is wonderful. How do you look at that?
Oh, like same. Like, I mean, like most giallos end with like justice getting done, but it is rare that the heroes and heroines are not scarred by it in some way. Like Manu seems to come out of this like fairly okay. Like obviously I know she wasn't pushed so far like that she's gonna need therapy.
Right.
So, so, so yeah, and my favorite with the cinematography is when she first goes into Andreu's apartment, and there's this like huge cascade of red all over the place, like so that something like bad is gonna end up like resulting from this tryst, like when the scenes practically bathed in red light.
Yeah, in a way that makes it a little bit Argento-esque, I guess. It's because
Yeah.
like it's sort of it's the it's impending doom, right? That's
Right.
the red what it's what it's representing. And yeah, no, that shot is great. I love that. It's like, and there is like so much red. It's like, in a way, I'm kind of surprised that this movie doesn't have any more like blood or whatever in it.
Yeah.
Because if you look at that, it's like, oh, this is going to get bad,
Ooh,
and
yeah.
it's going to get bad, but in a very different way.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think I agree. That's fantastic. But yeah, it's but
Yeah.
what do you think of like the final scene that I described with like the sunset, the sun,
Yeah.
and of them driving off and stuff?
Oh, love it. Like, yeah, I mean, like, that there's like really like only so many times you can like you see a character like make it out, but also knowing that they'll never be the exact same afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And so to see a character being able to survive and also overcome it, and be able to live like some form of normalcy, see again, is quite the treat, actually. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So let me throw it back to you. Do you have more positives for Forbidden Photos?
Uh, yeah, the pacing in it is really great because, like, because as you said, like, focuses more on the like, like mind games, like hence the Gaslight reference I mentioned, I mean, like it is just so well paced, and you're so invested because you want to see Minu make it out okay, like and then you're like seeing all of it in these obstacles, and then he throws in the red herring, and with Dominique, and then he retwists that, and you're like, whoa, I never expected she figured it out.
Yeah.
Out, like so like, yeah, like I just like loved like how he kept you invested in everything thing, because like I like was not bored at all, like like both viewings. I like ever, like he keeps it like like compact and tense, but like not like so tense you'll like need to like like have like that relief every so often.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, this movie moves at a clip, and it's very yeah, like you said, there isn't like a lot of fat on the bones. It's just like it's like it's so well paced, and like Ercoli, he knew exactly what he wanted to say, wanted to tell, I think, and it never gives you a moment of like, oh, this is sort of dragging or whatever. It keeps you on the edge of your seat all the way through, because like you said, I mean, you just feel so you feel so bad for Minu in this one. It's really like, and it's like, which is why Dominique is fantastic. But no. I mean, I don't want to diminish Minu as a character, but
right.
But I mean, you feel so bad for her, and it's like, and I think I think it says a lot about, and again, not to get political or whatever, but stuff like this is happening all the time, and and probably not to the not to the extreme as like we see in this one, but there are definitely the numbers are like insane, and
too high,
very much too high, and luckily it's getting better because we're getting more aware of it, and we have better ways to deal with it. And of course, women are hurt a lot more nowadays, a lot more. And of course, women are more equal a lot more than today. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, I think we're lying to ourselves if we're saying that it has stopped happening. I think stuff like this is still happening, and I think that's what makes this movie so gripping. Is like, because you know that people like Minu exist, in real life, and it's really hard to see a character like Minu go through something like this.
Oh yeah. I mean, I mean, if there is one thing that honestly does scare me, in a film, is implied rape, like that, like I always jerk, in my seat if I think the thing like that's gonna happen. And yes, it is especially effective when you know like something like that, like it happens unfortunately every day to a person, like to a person, so it does end up feeling more real.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And but I think to go along with the pacing and all of that stuff, I mean, do we need to mention Ennio Morricone anymore? I mean, the do we have to address the brilliance of the man again? I mean, it's another great score in here. It's like, it's really great, and it's but I think it's interesting that for this movie, his themes are sort of much more slow. Have a sort of semi romantic taint to it. I think it's actually very interesting the way that he picks his sounds and stuff. What do you think of the soundtrack in this one?
Well, at first, and even this second viewing, I thought that this, for a good chunk, was a very, generic score. At first, I'm only only maybe like the last 30 to 40 minutes did the more unique sounds of the of the maestro come in, and I mean, I do feel like he was sort of building up, as the film progressed. It starts off very light, with maybe occasional tenseness when the blackmailers involved. But I did start to think that maybe the pitch of the music got increased, as the paranoia, and the uncertainty is setting in.
Right. Well, I mean, he's definitely holding back a little bit at the start of the movie, and it's I will give you that it's not as spectacular as let's say his Once Upon a Time in the West soundtrack, for example. I mean, that's a lot more spectacular and bombastic and stuff. But I think for what it does, I think it works very well. like you said, I think he was building up to the bigger moments in a lot of ways. With so, but I don't think we have to agree anymore on how brilliant Ennio Morricone is. So it's, that's pretty much a given at this point. So yeah, I think I'm pretty much done with all of my positives. I do want to say something in terms of like issues or negative things wise, but I'll let you finish first. Do you have any more positives for Forbidden Photos?
I'm good, bud. I'm good.
Okay, fair enough. So okay, so I guess we go into negatives and issues again.
Okay.
Would it be okay if I start with this one?
Sure, that's fine.
Okay. All right, because I have one negative. I have one issue with this film.
Okay.
And I'm curious to hear what you think about this. All right, so because this movie goes more for the sort of erotic thriller or drama theme in this one,
right?
I feel like this film isn't very tense in a lot of places.
Okay.
And for me, it lacks a certain creepiness, that you would expect from your typical Giallo movie. I mean, there aren't really a lot of like mystery, sinister vibes to this one, if you ask me, in my opinion.
Okay.
So what's your take on that? How do you agree, or do you look differently at it?
I'm sort of like half and half. I mean, it could have definitely used more suspense, but I think we also have to remember, like, he's playing mind games with her, like, like the whole point of this is to drive her out of her mind.
Yeah.
Like mind or whatever, so so you really can't do too much, I think, like without risking getting caught. So you kind of have to play it at a certain distance, I guess, is the thing, but I mean, I do honestly think, like, and you could keep the suspense up and keep that, like, psychological aspect in, but I mean, I guess like either they weren't sure how to do that, or Ercoli, like, I just wanted to stick with the more erotic thriller aspect, because, like, it was different for the time, and I do think he liked being unique in his storytelling. Telling so like, yeah, I mean, like, I'm kind of like half and half on it, like, like some things I love about it, and others they could have definitely, like, put more stuff into it.
Right. And to be clear, I'm not saying that this movie needed to have like blood or whatever in it or whatever.
Right, yeah.
Your typical sort of Giallo killings or whatever.
Right.
But for example, I mean, if the scenes with the blackmailer and Minou, when they are together, you could have added a bit more, shadows and stuff. Have it play a little bit more in the dark and stuff. Maybe have the blackmailer wear the typical black glove and stuff, something like that. Just a few more little touches of what we expect from a Giallo, and I never expected this movie to get like gory or whatever, or that sort of stuff. But sometimes I thought like it could have used a bit more of the suspense that you come to know the Giallos for, and especially in the moments with that the blackmailer and Minou are together, sort of that sort of stuff.
Right, like, yeah, like, actually the two most suspenseful scenes I thought were done like really good was when Manu and Pier are like, in bed and they hear a noise, and go to investigate, gate, like, and find, like, stray turtles walked in. And like, I thought how they built up to that, like, easing was really good, and also the scene right prior to the uh, climax when the blackmailer decides he wants more out of all this, lovely, and her like grabbing the like statuette or whatever it is, and then the knife, like that was really excellently staged and paced.
Yeah.
I'm like, and you felt a lot of tension there, I thought.
Yeah, yeah, and there is of course the scene at the beach, of course, the first
Right.
one that they meet up. So those scenes are really good. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Those scenes are really good. It's just it's just a preference. I would have
Right.
preferred a little bit more of that, but I can see why they went the route they did. So, but that really is my only negative or issue for this film. Do you have any issues or negatives with this one?
Two, and they sort of go like hand in hand.
Okay.
I'm like hand, I mean, I would have actually liked if they sort of had a bit more of a build-in of a Pierre's complicity in like in like all this, because I know an argument like a lot of Giallo fans would make out is that you really don't know his part until Dominique starts explaining it,
Right.
and I know fans I like would argue like I like that it's too much explanatory, like it was in Psycho, and I only agree a little bit. I mean, like him, like I mean the out of left field revelation works great. But I mean a little hint, like and maybe a just a a suggestive like thing of his guilt, like may have been I mean a nice touch, I mean touch, and like also that the Black Maller's only flaw is that he started liking it too much, because he pretty much is just begging for somebody to, because like he was because he was pretty much begging Pierre to kill him at the end, because like he got greedy,
Right.
like and not money wise, like he started loving torturing her too much.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean that felt a little bit out of character. Like, please kill me or whatever. It's like, but then why have you been doing all this stuff, really?
Yeah.
So that's I can see that. And the first thing you say is like, yeah. I mean, like I said, there are some hints with like I said, being obsessed with work and all of that.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And there are certain hints, but yeah, they could have put a little bit more in there, absolutely. And it's like, look, I think the twist is great, and
it is.
it really delivers. And so, but yeah, I mean, there could have been a little bit more build up, I guess, for that. Absolutely, yeah. No, I can see that. I can see where you're coming from. Yeah. So, all right. So I guess I guess those were our negatives there, or issues. So I guess if we're finished, we can go into ratings on this one. So
okay.
Would you like to start? Should I?
Sure.
You can start. Go on.
Okay. Like I really enjoyed this. I liked how it was a different form of the like Giallo thriller. I mean, the characters were interesting and solid. Great pacing, great story, great characters. Great cinematography. If he like with only like a few like minor flaws here and there throughout, Yeah, and I actually also think it's a good starting point, Giallo, for people
Yeah.
too. So I would definitely give this one a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay, okay, that's good. Okay, I'm actually higher than you, but okay, the 7.5. Okay,
Okay.
that's good. Okay, so yeah, I guess it is a good starting point for Giallo. People who want to discover Giallo,
Yeah.
because you might want to stay away from the gory movies a bit, ease into it
Yeah.
with this. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Um, yeah, so okay, 7.5. Yeah, for forbidden photos of a lady above suspicion. Oh, that's a long title.
Oh
Anyway,
man.
but no, look, I have really come to love this film. I love the themes that it has about gaslighting and psychological abuse of women. How it how how women are treated
Right.
sometimes. Dominique is the best. It's kudos to Nerves Navarro. But Dominique is the best. You can come and live with me here, so but no, and I love the performances. There is so much about this movie that I love. I love how different it is, like you said, from your typical giallo. I've come to a point now where with my giallo sort of history that I tend to gravitate a little bit more towards the ones that do it differently a little bit than the ones
Yeah.
that are your more typical giallo. So I really appreciate that this one is doing something different. A bit more erotic thriller.
Yeah.
Sort of more of a drama movie, basically.
Yeah.
And so I love the happy ending.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want a happy ending.
Yeah.
And I have really come to love this film. I'm going to give this movie a 9 out of 10.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's
Nice.
I have really come to love this movie. It's really great. I really love it. It's really great. So
Nice.
9 out of 10 for me. That's I'm gonna rewatch this in the near future for sure.
Nice.
It's really good. I really love it. So, and by the way, how did you watch this? I have the Arrow Blu-ray right here.
Oh, same here.
Oh, you have the other the other artwork. Yeah, yeah. I switched it around. Yeah. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have the same one. Yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
great. It looks great. Yeah. No, it's a really great one. So, all right. I guess we can move on to the next one, which is of course Death Walks at Midnight. This was released in 1972. Again, quick synopsis here. During a drug-fueled photo shoot, a model witnesses a brutal murder in the apartment opposite hers and is forced to become an amateur sleuth to unravel the mystery. So yeah, that's kind of what it is. Death Walks at Midnight. Let's start from the top again. What are some of your general thoughts with this movie?
I thought this had an equally good twist. As forbidden for uh, photos. Like there's a lot of intensity here. Like it's got a little of the girl who knew too much vibe
Yeah.
to it. Because she sees a murder under very like not so level circumstances.
Yeah, yeah.
Because she was like testing a drug for somebody. So I mean, it's only like natural in like that sense, like that you I like would question it, but when certain things like start gelling and coming together, that she's like you, hey, I really did see something. I didn't see the original thing, like folks told me I supposedly saw, but I saw something in connection to it.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
like to it, like yeah, but I love Navarro in this. Like she actually reminds me a little of my paternal uh, uh, grandma. Like
Oh,
she was this very spirited Italian woman.
hmm.
Like well, I'm like, and she took no gut from anybody. Uh, Buddy, like like the the quintessential tough lady, but she had a heart of gold too. Um, and she loved my dad and his siblings, and her husband and everybody. Uh, uh, but she was tough. So,
Mhm. Right. Yeah, yeah.
and I kind of felt that with like with Navarro's, excuse me, with Navarro's character too, like like just the energy, the spirit, toughness, and all that. Like I really, I like loved her in this, and it's not really until the end she kind of turns into the like damsel in distress, which I liked as well.
Right. Yeah.
So like and the like red herrings, and misdirect, and the red herrings, and misdirections in this are wonderful. Full.
Hmm. Right. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting film for sure. I will talk about Nieves Navarro in a bit, of course, but yeah. I mean, Death Walks at Midnight. On rewatching it, I mean, I have to be honest. I, I'm not as big on this movie as I am for Forbidden Photos.
Okay.
I'm I don't like this movie. I don't like this movie as much as Forbidden Photos, but there's definitely stuff in there. It is a very interesting movie, of course. I don't know. I don't think it's as high quality as Forbidden Photos is, but I think
Yeah.
we're going to get into all of that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's start with positives. I started with the first one, so I'll throw it over to you. What are some of your positives when it comes to Death Walks at Midnight?
Well, the first and foremost is that the story came from Sergio Corbucci. Actually, like I was really surprised that it was a story he wrote that
Hmm.
eventually became the script. Script I had always wondered why he never did any Jolly, because his story is pretty cool. Cool, like I
Hmm.
mean, like someone sees a murder and then like they're not sure what they actually saw, and then all this stuff starts coming out, like I thought like that was like really interesting, and I really enjoyed the script that came out of it from um from Ernesto Gastaldi
Solid.
and the other screenwriter in there. I actually think Gastaldi is the most underrated screenwriter in it. In Italy, which is like ironic because he has so many credits under his name. But I don't think it's been until like the last maybe 20 years that he's really gotten the credit. Like that is like accorded to him.
Hmm. Right. Right.
So like I just enjoyed like I'm like how the story playing it out and everything. So
Right. Well, it's interesting you should say that about Gastaldi anyway. Like, yeah, you're right. For most of the time when you look at the all that stuff, most of usually people look at like Dargiano, Sacchetti, and stuff like that for the
yeah.
script writing and stuff. And I mean, he's great. He's
Oh
great,
yeah.
but sometimes I guess sometimes you tend to overlook the other ones. and he's one. Gastaldi is one of those. But yeah, it's yeah, I can see that absolutely. So, but to go along with that, my first positive is that I really love the premise of this movie, in which this woman sees a murder, but people don't believe her because they just think she had a bad trip.
Yeah.
It's like, and the paranoia and the uncertainty that comes with that in regard to the characters and stuff, especially Valentina, of course. So I really adore how this picture is set up, because it feels fresh.
Yeah.
And there is it's funny you say it's funny you say the movie titles that you used. I thought of like Rear Window. It has a bit of Rear Window going on.
Oh yeah, it does.
Yeah, from Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah.
So which has kind of the same premise as well. So yeah, I mean, the vibe of this film is really working for me, and that's that's a really big positive on this. But also, again, you said it already. I think again the cast is phenomenal, and once again, Nieves Navarro, she doesn't skip a beat, and when it comes to portraying her characters, and Valentina is no less, no exception. And like you, I love how she can stand up for herself, but also doesn't take shit from anyone.
Yeah.
When the police don't, when you have that scene where the police don't believe her, it's like, get the fuck out of my apartment. It's like, that sort of stuff. It's so great.
It is. I love it.
Yeah, I love it. It's great. It's great. You just go and do your job, you stupid. Anyway, I don't want to insult the police, but anyway,
right, yeah.
Or in this movie, the police in this movie are idiots. Anyway, but also the guy who tries to rape her later on, again going back to the rape, and she she slaps him in the face, and then she just kicks him in the sensitive parts, and then she runs away. It's like, applause, Nieves Navarro. Yeah. Well done, and it's really it's those sort of characters that I'm really drawn to and appreciate, and just Nieves Navarro is killing it, absolutely killing it. It's absolutely killing it. So yeah. Do you have more to say about her character, or?
Like, not get too much. Like, only that she has an equally fantastic smile as well. Like, if she smiles, you smile right along with her.
Yeah. It's like, but like you said, she is tough, and she can fend for herself and stuff. In that way, in a strange way, I kind of feel bad that she ends up being the damsel in distress in the final act.
Yeah,
it's like it's like, oh man, like throughout the whole movie, you have been holding your head high, and now you're But I get it. It's
But she does make up for that when she does what she does to Peter Martell at the end.
Right, absolutely. So so it's a little thing, but no, it's great. Nieves Navarro is great, Valentina is great, and of course Simone Andreu is back as well. This time, though, I think he does play a little bit of a different character, because, of course, he plays Gio, who is the sort of arrogant, hot-headed, and selfish photographer of Valentina.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think that's all. A little bit of an act, honestly, because he's very often working in the spotlights, of course, and so. I think in some way he kind of feels like he has to be sort of like this cheetah, like I have to be there, I have to be there. Get off my back, something like that. I think he feels the pressure of the job, on his shoulders, sort of. He's kind of a perfectionist, but I honestly believe that deep down he actually really cares about Valentina, because at the end of the picture he does come to her rescue, actually.
Oh yeah, he does.
And he sort of becomes her white knight, I guess. But I really like that aspect of it. So Simon Andrew plays a bit of a different character here that's not completely villainous. Like, how do you look at Gio?
I've always had issues in some ways with journalists. I mean, only two I ever trusted completely were Barbara Walters and Diane Sawyer. Only two I ever trusted completely. But yeah, I mean, I think Gio's an honest man.
Mm-hmm.
I think he feels like he's got to play the game.
Yeah.
And more often than not, it does bite him in the ass. Especially when especially when Valentina slaps him. I like it when then throws a rock. Through through the like whoa wind. Actually aimed at him, but I mean, I think generally he's a decent guy who tries to be honest in his profession, but kind of falls through the cracks.
Right. Yeah.
And he really steps up and he really proves himself a good guy when he sees, what's happening to Valentina, and he just runs in there, throwing his own safety to the Wendu helper, which I was, given several rousing cheers for, especially my first viewing, years back now.
Yeah. No, he really redeems himself in the end. So yeah. And it's it's good. I think the cast is great, and the way that they perform the characters is. But I think Simone, how do you feel? What do you think is out of these two? What do you think is Simone Andreu's best performance out of these two movies? The blackmailer or Gio?
I have to lean a little bit more towards the blackmailer.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot he makes you hate him with.
Yeah.
And the mysteriousness of him kind of makes you want to know more. I mean, like Gio's still interesting, but he comes off as just the typical, hot-headed, albeit well-meaning boyfriend. But the blackmailer, he just gets so much to work with, and he really does a great job of making you hate his guts. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I guess there is something to say about you. Sometimes you just want a good villain.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me throw it back to you. What are your other positives for this film?
I would say how it's shot, especially when Valentina's thinking back on her memories, of what she saw that night. The camera angles as the Iron Fist is being, plunged into the poor girl's, head and neck or whatever. I mean, it's not as bloody as you would think it would be. Especially from the posters and such. We obviously get spurts of blood on the guy's face or whatever it is, but it's not as graphic or as disgusting as you would think, and Iron fist like weapon would be, but it's still enough to do its job in intensity. And again, the pacing's there, like that's always good. Good, and he keeps it just one step ahead of the like lead like actress, because like we obviously sense like something's up here, but like her, it's just like like just as you're getting to it, poof,
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
No. Yeah, the pacing of this movie is really good. But to go along with what you're saying, you already talked about it. But I and this is again the gore hound in me. Even though it's like you said, it's not that extreme.
yeah,
I adore the original murder scene that sets this movie up.
right,
I mean, the kill scene is it's so brutal and nasty. I mean, the blood, all the blood, and and just the whole set piece is so it's totally violent.
yeah,
And but the way it's shot is really great. The way it's shot by Ercoli is really great. But they opened this film with a really big bang, and I think it needed that in contrast to the whole it's a hallucination sort of thing,
right,
but the spiked glove is very it's very inventive, and it feels original,
yeah,
so kudos to Ercoli for beginning your movie in that way, because that can be a hard sell, to start a movie in such a manner, and it's very difficult to pull that off stylistically. But I think he really makes it work.
Like, and it's like like funny when I saw that scene for the first time, I actually thought it was a mannequin's head.
Yeah.
Like just they like way the actress's eyes and face were. I'm like that can't be her holding still there. It's got to be a mannequin's
Yeah.
head or something like like made to look like her. Like her, like and I think what sells it even more is that it's really the only violent murder in the whole film. Like I
Yeah.
mean, like all of the other killings, happen off camera.
Right. Yeah.
Like so I think like that kind of adds to it in a way, because it's already like not overly gross, but it packs enough of that punch, like that is really all you would need. I mean, I think like showing anything else would have been like overkill.
Right. No. They show you just enough to make you sort of scared, and like to
Yeah,
throw you like oh whoa, okay, there you go.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I have something to say about the other people being killed off screen.
right.
When I come to my issues and negatives,
Okay.
but no, the opening scene is I think it's one of the best openings in a Giallo movie, probably for the entire genre. I think, especially when especially in that rear window kind of way where Valentina is watching it, watching it happen. So I think that's really inventive and original. But I think to go along with that, I think Gianni Ferrio's score is great. I love his work in general, but again, it's like you said, it's one of those guys that kind of is a bit under the radar as well, like we already talked about it, like screenwriters and stuff. I feel like Gianni Ferrio is sort of in the same ballpark. He tends to fall a bit on the side of the road, but I think I love his work in general. I adore his soundtrack for Tony Arzenta.
Yeah.
The music for the Bloodstained Butterfly, that's awesome.
Oh yeah.
And his score for this one is no different. And there is a certain jazzy kind of feel to it in this
Yeah.
one. And almost as if you're in like a nightclub or whatever. It's
Yeah.
very much music that would belong there.
Yeah.
There are a lot of like slow and almost melancholy sounds as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And I think that works very well in tandem with like the scenery that you're receiving as a viewer. How do you look at the soundtrack?
I enjoy it. Like, yeah, a few of the jazz parts. I actually thought at first it was a little of a Morricone rip off a bit. But then there were pieces that sounded like like they were uh, quintessential to the composer. So
Right.
so like but like overall I enjoyed it. Like he used the right tempos and feels for like for each scenes. Like tense parts had the fast music. The calmer parts had the calmer music. I enjoyed it overall. Yes.
Great. Yeah, no. I think the soundtrack is pretty great. So yeah. Let me throw it back to you. Do you have any more positives for Death Walks at Midnight?
Uh, Oh yeah. Like with Forbidden Photos, I loved the twist because in the end, all of this is about money.
Right.
Like at first you're thinking it's some guy's twisted like vengeance against somebody, you know, and here like oh it's like here it's all about the money,
Right.
so uh, uh, and I especially loved um during the like uh, uh, sequence at the end. I loved when it was just Andreu and Luciano Rosi, who plays one of the most annoying henchmen I think uh, I've seen. Like his laugh's effective,
Yeah.
but it kind of grates like after a while on you.
Yeah.
I'm like I especially loved it when it's just them and he knees him like right in the gut and he grabs his hair and he says, "Not laughing now, huh?"
Yeah.
And he like pushes his face into the stuff on the roof or whatever. I loved that. I was like, yeah, Gio, like make that bastard hurt.
Yeah. Well, again, I mean, Gio really he totally redeems himself at the end of this movie,
Yeah.
and it's no, those moments are really great, and but concerning like the twist and stuff, I have something to say about that, but
Okay.
no, I mean, yeah, ultimately it's all about money, and it's I think. I think the way that the finale is shot, on the rooftops and stuff, I think that's a really cool way to do it.
Oh yeah.
Especially with again Gio coming in and stuff, but also of course Nieves Navarro with what she does at the end of the
Yeah.
film and stuff. So yeah, no, I think ultimately the actual end of this movie is really satisfying for sure.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I mean, I'm actually kind of done with my positives. So I'll let you continue first before we go into negatives and issues and stuff. Do you have anything more that you appreciate about Death Walks at Midnight?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, fair enough. So okay, so I guess we could go into issues and negatives and stuff. So I started with the first one, so I'll let you start with this one. Do you have any issues or negatives with this one?
Probably my biggest, and it's more of a gripe, slash complaint, is the character Peter Martell plays.
Mm-hmm.
Plays now. I've always had a love-hate relationship with him because I thought he was an excellent actor, and I ended up writing somewhere that he was a real wanderlust type. He couldn't stick to anything.
Oh yeah, okay.
Thing, and he was doing really great in acting, and all of a sudden he just says, "I'm done." He walks away, and he never was stable again in his life.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I was like, I saw an interview with Leonard Mann, and he was discussing the Forgotten Pistolero, and he said he was shooting a scene with Martell, and he said Martell constantly started breaking up laughing, and the director asked him, why are you, I'm you're breaking up, and he just says he's too serious. I find it funny. He's too serious.
Mm.
Not that I don't think he didn't take working seriously, but but I don't know. He was just too it's hard to explain exactly what he was I think he loved being free too much. He was so free to the point that he sacrificed stability to be free.
Mm. Yeah.
Free, and I just didn't know what to make of his character in the film. The revelation, he's at the head of it. That's fantastic because I didn't think it was him at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm but he just comes off as a very aloof character, like how he was in real life. So,
yeah, maybe he brought some of the things that are actually in his real life into the role. I don't know. Yeah. I'm not sure, but the way you describe it, it's if there's one thing that I don't like about actors and actresses, or even directors or filmmakers in general, is when they become elitist, and it kind of feels that that's where he was heading. Maybe it's I'm better than anyone else on the set, basically, sort of that sort of demeanor. And I can walk away whenever I want, because I got my paycheck or whatever, something like that. Anyway, it's I mean, those kind of performers and actors always sort of grind my gears, but what can you do? But no, I mean, I can see that and to be honest, his character is a bit of aloof. It's because some of his decisions that he makes in the final acts when it comes to the fighting and stuff, it's if you had really thought about it, you would have made a more clever decision. Something like that. So I can see where you're coming from with that. Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. So I have two basically gripes with this movie, but they're pretty big ones. Right. So I'm going. Okay. I'll start with the first one, and this is kind of like what I was talking about already earlier. Right. Despite everything that I really appreciate and love about this picture, Death Walks at Midnight, it does feel a little bit like a run-of-the-mill Giallo in a lot of ways. I mean, there are many of the same story beats. The tension is very palpable and familiar as well. And despite the concept, which I love, and the opening and stuff, to me anyway, it does look like, I hate to use this word, but it does a little bit look like, one in a dozen kind of
okay,
of the genre.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because recently I rewatched The Cat o' Nine Tails, which is also kind of like generic, sort of way, but it's really good. So that, I mean, that doesn't have to be a bad thing, but for me, it just I like I said before, I think I have just come to the point where I'm expecting more, maybe, unfair or not. So, how do you look at that situation?
Well, it is cliched in a way, but I think Ercoli shoots it, like, especially like, in the, like kill scene, and also in, like, like certain other shots, like, he shoots it in such a way that it actually rises above the, cliched aspect. Like, it's cliched, but he's doing it in his own way that kind of makes it different, in some form of the next.
Right. No, that's fair. Absolutely, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Ercoli he does use some very inventive ways to at least try and give it like another flavor.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes for me it doesn't really stick out that much. But maybe that's just me. So but the second issue that I have, that's actually the big one.
Okay.
And it's a pretty big one, because unlike you, I don't like the climax of this film.
Really?
No, I don't. It's because I'll explain, and I'll see where you stand on this later on. But I always felt like the film was missing something, and I will tell you what I think it's missing. I think because of that great opening that we've had, I would have loved for this movie in some way to have like a climax and a twist where it was revealed that it was actually all a hallucination.
Oh, okay.
I think it would have been a great twist if at the end of the picture we found out that Valentina actually really did have a bad LSD trip, and that the murder she saw, that was just an effect of the drug. That was just a hallucination, or she was in this sort of dream state. Something like that. But I think that would have been a great twist, because then you could have also had something like a bit of social commentary in there, like drugs bad, people, drugs bad, and I don't know. I think that would have been a much more satisfying ending, because then you would have had something original, and like in the Giallo genre in general, it's like, holy crap, that didn't happen at all. Like that was like okay, I guess it was a hallucination or whatever. I don't know. I think that would have been just so much more inventive, and I think that would have been actually a pretty brilliant way to differentiate this film from other typical giallos. What do you think of that? How do you feel about it? What's your take?
Well, it is interesting, and they actually did sort of play with that a bit in The Girl Who Knew Too Much, because if you watch the Italian version of it, at the end, she lights a cigarette, and then she like reflects back on that some guy had handed her like marijuana laced ones, and she says to herself, "Hold on a second. Was I having a trip like when I saw like that murder?" So it is kind of played a bit there, and something like that I think would have worked, but because faces are shown, and she very vividly sees who's the murderer and who like and who's the like victim, I mean, I doubt that would have really worked as her just pulling faces out of like the air. I mean, had you had you either shown it happening from the back, like you only saw like the killer from the back and the victim from the back, like that may have worked, because you'd be thinking like, okay, like who did she actually see? I'm gonna like see, but because but because we're all staring straight at the killer and his victim, it's like, well, can it really be a hallucination? If she has a very vivid image of who it was, and granted, like some people who have trips like that, see the very like vivid things that have ended up like not being real, but something like a murder, I'd be skeptical, it's to be quite honest.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was just thinking about it, and because you could have had like a scene in which like the police show up at Valentina's doorstep or whatever, and they actually, what if what if those two people, the guy and the woman who are, that she saw and stuff, what if they are actually just a married couple living across the street?
Oh, okay.
And she just saw some kind of like interaction between the two of them or whatever, and then she hallucinated stuff like that. Well, it's something like that.
Cool.
But
okay,
also,
I can see that.
Yeah, but also, and this is like what I was saying, but also it's the whole thing about all of the other victims being killed off screen.
Yeah.
We never ever see that. The only real murder that we see is the one that she's looking at while she's being intoxicated.
Yeah.
So, it's those two things added on to the whole drug thing. It's like, that would have, I think that would have been a pretty interesting way to end this movie, but maybe that's me.
Oh yeah. I mean, there was a Giallo I saw years back. It was one of the first Region B Blu-rays I purchased. It was a muck from 88 films. Films, and the lead character gets word that body has been found in a river, and that it might be her friend who was murdered. So she takes her out. Takes her suspicions to the suspected killers, and while she proves they actually did it, the head inspector tells her the body we found wasn't your friends. Like, it was like this girl who killed herself.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, like, that twist is interesting. Like, to me anyway. Way, and I feel like something like that could have equally like worked as well. Like, it could have still been a hallucination, but she ended up being right about who was guilty.
Yeah. No, totally. No, yeah. No, that's something that I just concocted in my head. It's like,
That's fine.
That would have been very intriguing to me, but because the ending, it's I didn't really dig it in the end, but but those were my two really big issues that I have with it. Let me throw it over to you again. Do you have any more negatives for Death Walks at Midnight?
Yeah, I like it. I like one, and that does happen towards the end as well. It's when Gio's fighting off the goons, and he punches the guy in black, and when he falls over, and we see him, and that's just the tiniest hit of brain on the floor. I thought that was a bit overkill. I'm like, yo, had a great opening kill scene. I don't need to see a guy's your head they cracked open and a little brain out.
Right? Yeah. No. That's like that's something you would expect in like a zombie, one of the zombie films or something. No, totally. That was a bit like it's like we need to hit home the fact even more that Gio is like he's redeeming himself. That was a bit excessive for sure. You didn't really need that in there. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I can see that. Anyway, I think I'm pretty much done with all of my points. Do you have anything more to say on Death Walks at Midnight?
I like just that. I mean, they do hint that there's drugs being, floating around in Italy, but the couple of suspects who get killed, I mean, I did get that like they had some involvement in what was going on, but I don't think there were too many hints. I get like that's like one thing I do wish there was a little more of hints of who was involved, like maybe a little more of hey, that, hey, Valentina's story and all these interactions are starting to actually fit into place.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean that could have also played into the whole thing about where they got the drugs that she is using.
Oh yeah.
Like that. Don't totally, absolutely. Yeah. It's like there are some plot elements in this movie that aren't really resolved.
Yeah.
By the end of it. So, and I guess you could leave some things up to interpretation.
Yeah.
No, I can see a point. That's puzzling for sure. Yeah, no, that's puzzling.
Yeah.
For sure. Especially when it's like over the whole city, like if there are people selling drugs all over the street, all over the city, that's kind of suspicious, that's kind of So anyway, do we have anything more to say on this one?
I'm good actually.
All right, so I guess we can go into ratings again. Shall I start with this one?
Sure.
Okay. So Death Walks at Midnight. By the way, I have once again the Arrow release again. It's oh, there you go. Yeah, I think it's. Do you have the same box set that has like?
I do.
With Death Walks on High Heels, right? Yeah. So it's from this one. So it's the same one. Yeah. It's a great release. The picture quality for both of them. The picture quality is amazing. Great. Yeah, it looks great. Yeah. So Death Walks at Midnight. Yeah, I mean, overall, I would say that this is a decent film. It's definitely
Yeah.
not as I don't regard it as high as Forbidden Photos of a Lady Above Suspicion, but I mean, there is definitely stuff in here to enjoy as a Giallo fan. Um, um, and there are some really interesting concepts here that are being exploited. I just wish that the script would have been a bit more original and they went like a bit more inventive with it.
Yeah.
You know, um, uh, Nieves Navarro rocks as usual.
Yeah.
I mean, the soundtrack, the cinematography, there is a lot to love in this movie as a Giallo fan. It's just yeah, like I said, I think I've come to the place where I'm just expecting a bit more,
Yeah.
and that's subjective to everyone, of course. I mean,
Oh,
some
of
people
course.
expect other things than others, but I think overall it's a decent film, and I had fun with it. I had a good time with it, so you know, it's a decent enough Giallo. So my rating for Death Walks at Midnight, I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10.
Ooh, nice.
I think that's fair. So,
Nice.
all right, I'll throw it over to you.
Um, okay. I am slightly higher here a bit actually.
Okay.
Actually, yeah. I really enjoyed this one. I think it's a great middle of the road Giallo. I
Yeah.
mean, it's definitely cliched at points, but I think Ercoli and his crew and his cast were creative enough that it's like, it's cliched, but but it's creative enough that it rises it a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the stories cool, like tensions, great, pacings good, great cinematography, great acting, yeah. So I am going to give this an 8 out of 10, and a big chunk of that is for Nieves Navarro. I mean, like, she is just like, I love her in this film. Like, she's really good. Uh, uh, Good. Like, like she steals every scene she's in.
Isn't she great?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. I can see that. So an 8. Okay, an 8, that's good. Yeah, no, I can totally see where you're coming from. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, it all comes down to the creative team who make these movies.
Yeah.
And it's all on the director and the cast and the crew. And and sometimes it works out better than others. And that's just the way it goes, I guess. But no, I can see where you're coming from for sure. So, but an 8. That's good. That's good. That's a good rating. So, those were the movies that we were going to discuss. I have one final question once again before I'll let you off, if you
Alright.
allow me. And it has to do with
Okay.
Luciano Ercoli himself, because
Okay.
we've spent like a lot of time now discussing his movies and stuff. But like I was mentioning at the start of the podcast, like why do you think that filmmakers like Luciano Ercoli are flying so under the radar when it comes to the Giallo or directors or whatever? Especially if you look at it in contrast to, like, there are so many great directors in the genre, but why are people like Ercoli like flying under the radar? Do you think that has to do with the movies, or what is your reasoning for that? And would you actually recommend these movies to like people who are discovering this world?
Oh yeah, sure. Like that definitely. He's probably not the most genius, as like a Leone or a Corbucci, or a Bava or Lenzi or whoever. But he's a very competent filmmaker. He knew the business very well. Like, he always had a fascination with cinema, like, as he stated in interviews throughout his life. I mean, I guess it was because there was, like, so so many other guys, like, just like, churning out project after project every year. He wasn't like so much picky and choosy in his material, Ercoli, but he knew what he wanted, and he took his time on each one. Like, he just didn't rush into everything. Thing, like, and granted, like, like guys who are churning out film year after year, like, some of them did it, and didn't lose a beat, like Umberto Lenzi, like Lenzi. But I guess because Ercoli was different in his way of telling stories. Because if you look, at those three primary Giallos, Forbidden Photos, Death Walks in High Heels, and Death Walks at Midnight, they're not very bloody. Like,
No.
like, his stuff is more concentrated on the story, on the characters,
Yeah.
and in some cases, the psychological aspect, of, like, is what I'm seeing real, and is anybody going to believe me? So
Right.
I think because he got creative, it kind of made him more of a diamond in the uh, rough, and he really wasn't interested, in the, like, accolades or anything. He just liked, like, making movies. Like, he had a good partnership with his, co-producer friend. He had his stable of actors he liked. Like, he just made movies because he liked the idea of making them.
Right.
Well, like, he wasn't looking to get a head or anything. Like, he wasn't looking to, be a cult symbol or icon. Like, not that a lot of them started out wanting that, I guess. But I think because he stuck to his guns, guns, and did his own things, it kind of allowed him to, I guess, be more creative. But at the same time, it kind of made him, I guess, look a little too, intellectual. Well, for anybody else to care about, I guess.
Right. No. Yeah, that makes sense. I think, like you said, I think, someone I know who I hold very high in regard, always said, like, you don't set out to become a cult, a cult sort of icon. You just become one. And over time, and that's, like, you have to earn that. So I think, but I also think the interesting is, if you look at Lucio Fulci or Lenzi or whatever, I think it was also the thing, like, they just wanted to make as many movies as they wanted, because they were like hitting out movies, like, as much. Just look at the catalog of Umberto Lenzi. It's huge. Yeah. And so I always put it, like, next to Ruggiero Deodato, for example, because if you look at Ruggiero Deodato, he has a very small list of films that he has made.
Yeah.
But every film that he has done is original. Like, he never made the same movie. He never made the same movie twice.
Yeah.
And I think in some way Ercoli fits into that category more.
Yeah.
Like, he just wanted to make movies, but he's like, I'm not gonna copy myself, like, over and over and over again. Probably. I think it's probably along the lines of that, probably.
Oh yeah.
And if you, but the downside of that is then you probably have to sacrifice some popularity, I guess, because I think if you the turn out movie after movie after movie after movie, people tend to recognize you easier and earlier.
Yeah.
How do you look at that? Do you agree or?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm actually somewhere in the middle a bit, because even though like Lenzi and Fulci were turning out picture after picture almost like every year, like they were creative enough that they could kind of copy themselves, and yet it not be a copy exactly.
Right.
Like Yo could do enough that that was different, that like people would see similarities, but at the same time recognize it was an entirely different, like thing as well. So I think that I think they had both the creative output and the physical, will to just do this every year, because like they loved it uh so much. I mean, Ercoli, he loved it, but he was not a workhorse.
No, yeah.
Of course, like he was clearly not a workhorse. Like he wanted to work when he absolutely wanted to work.
Mm-hmm.
Like work, like so, yeah. So he's fine. Like maybe waiting like a year or two in between pictures.
Right. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's, and even with like other directors, they have sometimes they go on hiatus for like 5 to 7 years without even making one movie. So yeah, I guess that makes sense. I guess it makes sense. I guess it's. But I just thought that it was a very interesting contrast. When you have directors like Ercoli, and then you look at Lenzi, and it's like it's a very different movie catalog. But I guess that makes sense for sure. I guess that makes sense. Yeah. It's but I still think we should, as he might have made not as many movies as like Lenzi or whatever, but the movies that we do have, we should be grateful for, I guess, because they are in their own right very well made. So and I feel like Ercoli was a director that deserved, a podcast like this. So
Oh, of course, like he's like he's definitely a diamond in the rough.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Like rough, like and I do think he is starting to get known more. Like mom. Oh, yeah, I mean, like he's he's like he's similar to Melville, like he was forgotten about for a little like while, like after he died, and then he started making a huge comeback, and then the advent of home media helped both him and Ercoli like find a new audience.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's you kind of get a second life with that, So absolutely. No, and I'm glad they are being discovered right now, because they deserve to. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So and if anything, we at least I hope we have probably proved, to some people at least, how good these movies are. So, so there is that, depending on how you feel about it. But no. Well, anyway, that was the last question I wanted to throw at you for this one. So I think we're pretty much done. I think we covered it all. So I think it's about time we close off this stream. So I'll close it off in the usual way. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. We'll be back with more videos, and I will be back with more videos as soon as possible, of course. Stay safe and healthy as always. Stephen, where can people find you?
Just look me up on here under TVNASH, and I've got plenty of stuff for you guys to look at. So
There you go. There you go. Give him a like, subscribe to his channel because he's doing great work. So there you go. Anyway, again, have a good weekend, everyone. Stay safe and healthy as always. And I will see and talk to you guys very, very soon. And Stephen, we will keep in touch for sure. We'll be in touch. And thank you for being here for this one. This one.
And thank you. And thank you. And thank you. Well, gosh.
No, it's okay.
Thank you too, bud.
Of course, you're welcome. You're very welcome. It's always fun to do this. So, but anyway, thanks again. And we'll keep in touch for sure. And to everyone who's listening and watching, I will see and talk to you guys very soon. So with that down, see all of you later. Bye, bud. See ya.
Bye.
See ya later. Bye.